Okay, so the perspective's pretty good. This is where my eye level would be, and everything above the eye level vanishes down. So not bad. The windows aren't in perspective, and this also is not. There's a few drawing problems, but I can correct all those things once I start painting on top of this. The other thing is I'm going to simplify things, and if you notice on the roof, see how this is warm and warm? I'm going to make this cooler, so I have in the full sun, the shadow is usually cooler and the light plane is usually warmer. So there's not only a value change, but there's also a temperature change. So I'm using this program, it's called Art Rage, and it's really an exciting program. I can make changes and I can toggle back and forth to show you the changes that I've made. So here what I usually do is I usually end up simplifying a lot. I'm going to get rid of all the windows and doors. And I'm going to just make this one big color note. And I've made it, and it's my white and shadow. So it actually is my light dark compared to the roof color, which is going to be a darker in value. And let's see, so this is the first thing I usually do, is just simplify. Cool. So I have to get everything, the drawing right, the shadow and the light planes accurate. Okay, so now if we look at these 2 points, I'm going to actually make that a different color. If we look at these 2 points, prospectively, they should vanish down. So as I'm working on this, I'm going to be also correcting the drawing on some of these things. Okay, so this goes down. And then we've got this up here, a little bit in shadow. That also is going to be related to that, how it goes down. And then when we get here, see how this is much wider than this? That's a perspective issue. So these are all things to think of. So, and also, let me get this. Talk about perspective right now. Okay, so this is here, this is here. So this is going to be the perspective on this, okay. And this is going to relate to this. And so is this. Okay, so now I'm going to fill in the shadow part of that. Okay, so let me make this a little bit wider. And then there's a shadow here. So then there's a shadow here. And then this is going to be a little bit narrower. So that's a perspective issue. So also these points also are, so all of this stuff is related perspective wise. Okay, so now I'm going to come up with a dark for the roof. So we've got this coming down like that. Thinner. Okay, and then we've got this part here. And then this is also, that's the shadow. And then there's a little bit of a shadow right here. There's a little bit of shadow right here. Okay, so, and then there's a shadow right over here. Okay, so that's the roof. Now the roof is a little bit darker than the white. The white part of the, I mean, this part of the roof is going to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to make this darker, and I'm going to go right, I'm not going to make any changes between the tops of these little dormers or whatever these things are here. Okay, so. And this comes like that. And then this is also part of that roof back here. And then this is the roof back here. Okay, so now the roof over here is a little bit lighter and cooler. And here also I see it. So I'm gonna go to a lighter, cooler green over there. I'm gonna put this in light over here. And I'm gonna make this a little bit lighter over here. I see that. Okay, so I'm just gonna come in here and make this. Okay, so now I'm going to, and then the roof, that little roof also I'm gonna put in there. And it's smaller, this whole thing is smaller than what this student has. So it's actually pretty small here. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to the background trees, and I'm gonna break them up into a light and a shadow. So, and I'm not gonna use green, I'm gonna try to use a different color, like a purple that eventually I'll add the local color green to. So I'm gonna have this in shadow here. And then there's a little bit of a shadow like right here. Then there's a shadow like right here. And then this whole thing is in shadow here. That's in shadow. There's a shadow here. Then there's a shadow underneath here. Okay. So now I'm gonna put the light part of this in. It's yellow. And see, compared to the roof, it's got more yellow in it. But I have two colors. I have a cool and then a warm. Okay. And then this is, I'm gonna make this the same color here, okay. And then there's a few tree trunks there. Maybe I'll put those in right now. So there's a tree trunk in shadow here. And then there's the tree trunk in light. Might be a little bit darker. Okay, so now I'm gonna go to the sky, and I'm gonna go to a pink, and then later on I will put some blue in it. And it is a little bit lighter than the light part of the tree. the trees. You can see they're kind of darker than the sky. So here's the sky here. There's a little bit of sky here, sky over here. And then there's all this over here. Okay, so that's the sky. Okay, so now I'm going to come into the white part in light. So you've got this here, and you've got this here in light. And you've got, this is a little bit narrower. This is in light. And then this is in light. I'll correct this drawing later on. Okay. So I'm doing this first lay-in, and then I will come back and modify. Okay. So now I'm still going to get this, the white in light. Here I've got the white in light here. And then I've got it here. And then I've got a big part of it here. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the fence part. That's also a light. A little bit lighter. This is a light. I'm not even going to get into the slats. I'm just going to have one big color node here. And then I am going to get that just a little bit lighter. Maybe I'll go to a little bit lighter than the background light. This right here is just a little bit lighter. And then I have a top. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the foreground trees. I'm going to make them a little bit warmer. And I'm going to have, thinking that eventually I'm going to add some green to these. Okay, so then we've got shadow here, and then I have some shadow here. And then I have some shadow back here, some trees back here, some bushes back here in shadow. Okay, so now I'm going to come here and make these a little bit warmer than the background trees. A little bit cooler, but lighter. Okay, so that's there. We've got a little bit here. We got a few in light here. And then all of this is in light. And later on, I'll come in and break this down, but I'm trying to organize things as simply as possible when I start out. And then there's a little bit of yellow. There's these yellow things here. And there's probably a little bit of a shadow. Okay, so now I'm going to get the grass in. It's a little bit cooler. I think that's not quite that. Okay, so the grass is over here. I'm going to put some cool on top of this. It's like a combination of the two. Okay, so let me mix those. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the pathway there, or the driveway. Okay, and I'm going to get a shadow node for part of the driveway here, and then here. And then I see the driveway is much lighter. I don't see it that dark red. Okay, so you got this in light, maybe a little bit pinker. And then this is in light. And there's a little bit of light here. And I want to get this fence here. The fence is, oops, too dark. So the fence is over here. Okay, fence here. And then there's some, maybe I'll get this, oops. Okay, there's some light here, and then there's a little bit of light coming through over here. Okay, so let me get rid of that. This thing's still too big here. Okay, and then there's a little bit of a green part, darker part here. And then it gets cooler, just a little piece over here. Okay, so that's my first lay-in. So let's look at this. Okay, so we have a warm and cool. And now I'm gonna come in and I'm going to modify this, maybe add some doors, windows, add some details, maybe come in with some green in some of the, okay, so now the trees in the background, I'm gonna add some green to that lavender. Okay, now, and then there's probably some green right here. Okay, and then there's a transitional color also, which is a little bit darker, maybe cooler. Okay, so now the sky, I'm gonna add the same value. I'm gonna put some blue in the sky. That's pretty close in value. So I'm gonna knock that back a little bit so it's not jumping out. But I start with these warms, and when I come in with the cool, I still have that warm coming through. Okay, so now I'm going to make some transitions. Like right here, it gets a little bit darker. So I'm gonna come in with a little bit darker color. Like right here, there's less light coming in here, bouncing. There's more light bouncing into this. So this is a little bit darker. And then it's a little bit darker like right here. And it's also a little bit darker like right under here. Okay, and then the other thing is, I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna make this actually a little bit darker. I'm gonna make this a little bit darker here. I'm gonna mix it together because what I see is that it really gets light. This part is really light. Okay. So I'm gonna put some green in some of these, some warmer greens back here. I think this is a little bit warmer. Okay, there. And then it gets a little bit darker over here. darker over here. And then it gets a little bit cooler. Like right over here. It's cooler here, and then it gets cooler back here. Okay, so, and then I'm going to get some warmth here. And some green in here. And so it gets a little bit darker, like right under here and here. And then maybe it's going to be a little bit darker, like right here. It'll be a little bit cooler. The top plane will be a little bit cooler. Okay, so let's see. So now I'm gonna maybe add some cool to that driveway. Actually, I'm gonna maybe make that a little bit cooler. Yeah. I might add actually some cool to it. Okay, so that this is going to be a little bit warmer, lighter than this. Okay, so now I'm going to, let's see, what else? Oh, I'm going to add some flowers. A few places. Here's a flower here, here. There's probably a flower here, here. And that, the light part of it. Then this is in light. Catching light there, catching a little bit light here. Okay, so now I'm going to put, let's see, let's look at this. So now I'm going to put in some windows and doors and things like that. Okay, so there's a window. There's a window here that's, actually I want to see how does that relate to the top. Okay, so this is over here. It's like over here somewhere. So I'm going to just put that little part of that window in there. And then, you know, I'm going to go back here and see where, and this one is probably in a similar place. It's going to be narrower. And then this window here is a little bit lighter, warmer, but it's still dark. Okay, that goes there. Then this one, this door here, which is over here somewhere. It's a little bit darker. And then it gets a little bit lighter, like right here. And then we've got this part of the window. Okay, so you got this window here, and then we get this window here. Okay, so now I'm going to put in the shutters. Okay, so we've got shutter here, shutter here. Okay, so I think that's maybe a little bit, that window's a little bit too long. So I'm going to shorten this. Oops, making it a little bit darker. I'm going to shorten this a bit. Okay, so we've got this there. And then we're going to have maybe a different green, a lighter green, like right over here. Okay, so that is probably in the wrong place. So as I'm doing this, I'm making corrections. Okay. So I can come back in with this program and I can make this narrower. narrower here, it gets lighter here, and it gets lighter here. It gets lighter there. Okay. And then, okay, so now it gets lighter here, and it probably is a little bit lighter there. And then it gets darker here on these windows. See, what I'm doing is I'm really looking at the subtleties, and I'm not just, you know, thinking, oh, here's a door, here's a window, and not really thinking about what I'm doing. I'm looking at the variety of what's going on. Okay, so then there's a light part here. Reflected light there, and then there's a light here. Oops, it's too dark. There's a light here. Okay, so that's, and then there's a little bit of a shadow here and a shadow here. And then I'm gonna put these windows here. There's a window here. And then there's a window here. It's going to be narrower. And then there's it gets a little bit darker here. Well, it's not really darker there. Okay, so I can then clean this up a little bit. Okay, so let me do a few more things, and I think I'm not gonna work too much longer on this, because I can get this. This is a little bit warmer here. There's some shadows here. I mean, this is how I work when I'm, you know, when I'm working on my paintings. I go from general to more specific. Okay. And then I think it gets a little bit, maybe a little bit darker right here, back here. Okay, so, oh, I gotta put this over here. And then the other one is lighter, much lighter. Okay, so I think this is about all I'm gonna do. Maybe I'll put a few, let's see, a really few light, really light ones here. There's a light here. And then there's a few here. And maybe these could be a little bit lighter back here. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the share. Just let me toggle back and forth. So we have a warm-cool relationship. And then I went, you know, to the second stage and modified this a little bit more. And I could keep going, but I think this pretty much gives you the idea of how I would work on this. So I'm going to stop the share, and then I'm going. Okay, so that is the demo. I hope you all enjoyed it. I just want